Good morning, everyone. Welcome Facebook, welcome LinkedIn, and welcome YouTube. We're lucky enough to stream into 3 different places this morning. This is Wellbeing Wednesday, coach to coach with myself, Carey Davis-Munro, and my colleague, Will Murtha. Good morning, Will. How are you doing today?
Morning, long time no see. It feels like it's been a long summer.
It has been a long summer for one reason or another, and we are going to talk about that today and how we land. We always talk about with clients about we meet you where you land and where you are today. So we're going to talk a little bit about where we've landed, and about September. And I've put, it's the start of another route round the sun for us, another year. Because, for most of our clients, certainly for the whole of the academic world, whether we've got people starting school, university, the reality is this is more of a new year than January. And we have to bear in mind the context that we're coming out of. We start this new year at a point where we've had blazing sunshine, lovely long days, people have been away for a holiday, and then September comes and it's almost like a whack. Reality is back into place. And I guess we always choose a topic because this is what we see our clients struggling with. And you and I both are seeing people start of September, little bit of overwhelm. And there are 2 ways to see this, I think, Will. One is, here we go again. And people then fall back into old habits, old practices, and really aren't really questioning what this could be. Or the second way, oh my goodness, here we are in September. This can be new, this can be exciting, this can be different. But we're in a slightly different context than many years, aren't we, Will?
Me and you have always talked about this false New Year, January. You have 2 weeks off. Suddenly, like the New Year is never really a time where you feel energized. You sign up for gym and then you sign and let go of it a couple of weeks later. You start new regimes and new habits and you break them within a few days or weeks. September has always got that lovely energy. It is if the way I try to say it to clients, if the first hour of your day is important to set the tone for the whole of that day, we call it power hour, don't we? I think September is that, metaphorically, that first hour of the day. It's the first month of the year that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the year. There's usually a high energy, schools going back, colleges, universities, people are doing a lot of moving. It's one of the busiest months for job moves. Lots are happening. We're all coming back from summer. A lot of habits that we're not used to. So I think what this return to work has to be, you can go one or 2 ways, like you've described. But post summer, it is difficult. It's always been difficult, and you always have to get in a different mindset. Why is it more difficult now? Because of what you're coming back to. Just think of what we've gone through the last 2 years. Like we talk about the earthquake, don't we? We've gone through this tunnel. We're just coming out of the tunnel. Think about what we're coming back to. Nothing seems to be working. Everything seems to be breaking. We've got a new change in government in this country. Everything seems to be a problem. Even doing, flying here, going there, signing up for this, the strikes, and everything seems more problematic than it's ever been. So what we've got to be careful of, which we're going to talk about now, is getting back to basics, building up from the ground, putting a strong foundation in and doing the basic things well.
Yeah, I think you're right when you talk about people coming back to work or coming back to the sort of reality now against the backdrop of, people are worried financially, and we're not going to see that change. So I see in many ways that this could be a winter of discontent. And rightly so. We have reason to be unhappy and discontent in many ways. So we are going to have to manage our physical bodies and our mental bodies in a way that perhaps we never have before. And that can be really exciting. Because what I hear from people is, on top of the energy bills and everything else, obviously this is a time of year when we've got a weather change, we've got darker nights, we've got shorter days. Summer then, seems a long way off. That holiday might now seem a long way off. And there might be a lot to get through before we've had a break. Now, this can go 2 ways then. It can either tip into low mood, anxiety, an illness, or it can be a, oh my goodness, that's what could happen. And often we do this with clients, don't we? What could worst case scenario be? And this can be a kick up the backside to make sure that you set up for success. And that's what we want to do today. And I heard a story yesterday. Teachers are a prime example of this time of year. And I say this from my teaching background. I'm lucky enough to work with a few schools. And I know they get back into school and it's like, you can almost hear them. The oxygen's sucked out of them. And it's like, wow, next holiday's booked though. And someone told me yesterday that what she does every year, Will, this is really interesting. She takes a photo of herself in September after the holidays. And she showed the photo to somebody else and they said, wow, you look great. You've got a tan. You look, you're thriving. You look really good. Your skin's great. And she said, I take another one at Christmas. I'll show you. You will see the difference. I will be a shadow of myself. Now, so I want to use that as now hold on. We're going to talk about how you can set up for success. But if you are talking at that level where you know that you've got a job, you've got a lifestyle that is preventing you from having the life you need, then now is the time to question that. And probably we can do all the stuff that we're going to do today, but you need to make some massive changes. Would you agree, Will?
I think the change, I think any change, I always talk about the inner and the outer world, so before outer change comes, you've got to change the inner world. And that is mindset. What is mindset? Mindset is your thoughts and your emotions. It's your perceptions, your beliefs about yourself, what your drives are. It's all the stuff that's invisible to the outside world. But here's what the basic truth is. You can't have external change that sticks if you don't first sort your mindset out. And that's what you and me are about with all of our clients, isn't it, Carrie? That if you're overwhelmed, if you're overthinking, if your kind of body is crashing and burning, it's usually because you haven't sorted the mental and emotional side, the inside out first. Get that right, get the mindset bit sort of lined up, and then the external change can come. And I mean genuine external shifts, transformation, change that sticks. We can all change quickly and pretend and kind of fake it to ourselves and fake it to others that we're changing quickly. But unless we've planned it and built that resilience and that bounce back and that kind of tenacity underneath to support it, it just becomes sort of temporary. So I think, this emotional roller coaster, which turmoil in the world and, bills at home, as far as our electric and our gas and kind of increases in mortgages and food prices. I mean, strikes, where does it end? It just seems like one after, it feels like we're doing the Grand National Aintree, and kind of we've got 33 hurdles to jump before we can find a place of peace. And, it can feel daunting, can't it? Absolutely overwhelming.
And I think September's that point. Because you've had that break and you come to the point where you've had your holiday and then suddenly it's like, oh my God, I've got to run that race again. But actually, the point is, first of all, stop and think, is this the race you want to be running? You do have a choice about the race that you run. And then, I always talk to clients about upgrading. So how do we upgrade you? If that race, you're pretty much sure you want to stay in that race, but how do we upgrade it? Yeah. How do we upgrade your habits? And I always say that we are just, as you said there, we're a mass of chemicals. So it is about getting our mindset right, but it's also about getting our chemical makeup. So I come from that physical angle as well, that we have to attack the mindset, but we also have to attack the physical makeup in our bodies. So what we're going to do mainly is we're just going to talk between us of things that work for us, things that work for our clients. And science. We're very science-led as well. We like to be evidence-based. So I'm going to start with one thing that I do with my clients, and I've been doing this week. I say to them, if you're sad your holiday's over, what did you love most about it? And they always say to me, well, I got to do things I don't usually get to do. That's the biggest thing. I got to read, or I got to have family time. I got to have space myself. Or I had time to exercise, or I generally felt more productive. So I will say to them, okay, so first of all, take two of those things, two of the things that you loved most, and insert them into your diary. Create the boundary now, today. Put those things in and ensure that that isn't just a summertime activity, but it's something that you have boundaried off and you are taking with you on this rundown to Christmas. Yeah. So that's the first thing I would say. And the second thing is, I had it's conversations, isn't it, that really trigger you. I had a conversation this week with my lovely hairdresser, and he said to me, I said, "Oh, September, people feel really down in September." He said, "Oh, not me." He said, "I love it." He said, "I can't wait for the cold nights where I'm going to cozy up. I can't wait for the new series that, always start this time of year. I can't wait for shutting the doors at 3 o'clock because it's got dark." He was thinking about cooking different winter foods. And I thought, do you know what? That's a revelation. And that's what we have to do. Focus on what you can look forward to in the autumn months, because there's always something, Will, isn't there?
Oh, I talk about, I know that my conversations the last week or so, because it's almost like a slingshot, you start talking to people at the end of August about
Yeah.
September jump off. And one of the best things that kind of come up to begin with is all about where's your energy going, energy management. Because too many of us, I've known people, and I've got some of my grown up daughters, they seem like they've been away most weeks because there's 2-3 years of delay of weddings and celebrations that have all been packed in, festivals that they've caught up with, and of course everyone's launched into festival mode. Literally since May, I've got a few of my daughters who literally feel like they've been abroad, or they've been at a festival or at friends, and they've reached the end of August and they're absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
Because they've been overkicking it. So September could be for you, it could be a place of reevaluation, of reignition, of, reset, where you are literally going, right, okay, I've given so much energy away. Where is my energy going? And one of the big things, well, two of the big things that I kind of focus on at the beginning. One is your energy management from a point of gears. So what you do is, imagine for a moment you go into a stadium, and there's 4 gears that you can operate on to live your life. Gear one is literally do nothing. You go into the middle of the grass and you lay down, you chill, you have a drink, listen to good music. That's your downtime, gear number 1. Gear number 2 is you get up and you walk around the track, and it could be menial things. It could be a kind of meeting the neighbor for a walk, or you're doing something. It's quite low grade stuff that's not taking much of your mind space or your time or your energy. Gear 3 is activities that feel like you're running around the track. So you're running around the track, they're taking a lot of energy from you, a lot of time, a lot of mindset. And then gear number 4 is activities, whether it's work, home life, play. It's, 4 is sprinting around the track. Now, you and I know, Carrie, that clients and we have clients like this that are very, very busy. If they live too much of their life in the 3 and the 4 gear, they will burn out quickly. And you have to kind of bring them down. So try and divide your days, your weeks, your activities, your events into some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 order of gears. And just realize it's okay to do lots of 3s. It's okay to do some 4s. What it's not okay to do is ignore the 1s and 2s, because the 1s and the 2s are where you are filling your tank, your energy back up. And, one of the words you've got to watch at this time of year, I always say, is should. Oh, I should be seeing auntie. Oh, I should be going to my mum's. Oh, I should be doing this. I should be supporting a friend. I should be. You can't pour from an empty pot. So first of all, put your own oxygen mask on first. It's called good selfish. There is such a thing. Good selfish means, you can't give to others until you give to yourself first. So concentrate on where your energy needs to be replenished, filled back up again. It will usually be lots more 1s and 2s. And, start with that. And the other thing, which is so important, is, get in the moment. Get in the moment. Now, if you imagine there's a game and there's one chair and there's 3 people trying to sit in that one chair, your attention, your mindset, your concentration can only focus on one place, one chair. There are 3 chairs: past, present, future. Now, so many of our anxieties, worries, grief, shame, fear, all the things that drain our energy are because we're living in the past. Should have done that, could have done that, all the rest of it. I wish I wouldn't have, shame, guilt, all the rest of it. Or apprehension moving forward, the seat of the future, what's going to happen? Oh my God, the bills are coming, electric's going to, all that worry. Get out of those 2 chairs as much as possible and get into the one chair in the middle, and that is called the present, which means deal with the one hurdle, the one challenge, the one thing that is just in front of you, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and that way you won't be overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I think, when I hear you talk about the gears and certainly, where you're living, that's about feeding the parasympathetic body. When people are in overdrive all the time, in overwhelm and in that gear 3 or 4, you're living in your sympathetic body. And often the emotions are driving that. So we come back to emotions because you and I deal with this a lot. But often this is living in some fear, some anxiety, there's stress going on. And this is why we're in those gears all the time. This will not serve you well. So I would, the biggest thing that I talk to people about and do lots of masterclasses in businesses this time of year, come back to basics. Come back to really good sleep. Yeah. And the clocks are going to change. And I can tell you that, even 1 hour has a massive difference to the way that our chemicals work in our body. So
Yeah.
take that on board and be ready for it. But come back to good sleep. And good sleep, you might be surprised to know it's 8 to 10 hours. That's what we need. We know that in the pandemic, people were more susceptible to COVID if they had less than 6 hours. So 8 to 10 hours. And within that, I'm talking good quality sleep. Yeah, we sleep in cycles. So we have to make sure that we set up for success. And this isn't a session just on sleep, but it's vital. Don't ever accept you don't get good sleep at this time of year or any time of year. We have to move our body. That doesn't mean you have to get to a gym. You have to do, weights classes. You have to do punch bag classes or whatever. It just means move your body. And that's so, so important. And then what is vital for the chemical makeup is absolutely good, solid nutrition. So I'm talking about this time of year. Again, we know over the last 2 years that people were more susceptible in terms of their immunity if they didn't have good levels of vitamin D. Now, obviously, we've moved from a summer where we've had blazing sunshine, and we're going to move into much darker days. So vitamin D is vital. And vitamin D is vital because it works really well with our serotonin, and our serotonin is that chemical which is predominantly, along with dopamine, along with oxytocin, it's that one, and the endorphins that keep us feeling okay. Yeah. So it's vital that we look at the foods that we're eating. And I have to say, this is predominantly getting yourself somewhere up there on the plant base so that you're adding it into everything else. People are never, lots of people are never going to go plant based, but you do need to get yourself up there. But the sorts of foods, practical things, I'm going to tell you, you need to be getting lots of seeds. Fantastic for good fats. You need chickpeas, eggs, turkey, oats, salmon, squash, sea vegetables. These are all things that are going to feed and check that, make sure the chemicals are working properly for your serotonin. There's a reason why we love dark chocolate. Dark chocolate, and I'm talking at least sort of 75% upwards, less sugars. Yeah. This makes us feel better. So part of a really, really good food practice every single day is to have a couple of squares, I'm not talking 3 bars, of really good quality dark chocolate, a bit of green and blacks, a bit of bouja. There's some really great stuff out there. It stimulates our neurotransmitters. Yeah, this is what brings us into the parasympathetic. This is what makes our bodies feel good and helps us then to be able to have much stronger mindsets, which are going to support us. So lots of leafy green veg. And then our immunity, because this is the time of year again. Well, I know 4 people who are unwell at the moment. Only in the last 3 days, it's been like, and we see it like a pack of cards when people go back to school. So immunity, we're talking all the things I've said there, but we want to whack up your garlic, your echinacea, your turmeric, your ginger, all of the anti-inflammatory foods, and then the gut nurturing foods like miso, kombucha, tempeh. You can have your miso every single day, and this is the stuff that's going to feed our bio inside our gut, and the billions and billions of creatures there which are producing the chemicals which are going to make you and keep you feeling good. So come back to basics: movement, good nutrition, and sleep. And if you only do that, that's a really good place to start.
I mean, a good couple of things. I mean, some great points there, particularly around the nutrition bit of this change of the seasons. But the other things not to forget about are get outside. Get outside.
Yeah.
You talked about movement. Get outside. If you live by a river, by the
Yep.
sea, if you've got nature by you, nature is healing. I have never met anyone that has come back from a walk amongst woodlands or trees and felt worse than when they started. There is something healing. The science is there. We've seen it come through the last few years. The science of walking through trees is like a healing bath. So get out and in the garden, in the walks. Switch off your tech. The science is starting to build is overwhelming. The more time you scroll, the more time you spend on screen time, your energy, your mood will come down. So, anything that's like taking your energy, tech, social media, don't switch it off. Obviously, that's not possible nowadays, but just bring your times down. Be careful of what news you're letting in. Do not get obsessed by the news.
Don't even watch the news now, Will, do you?
We haven't even got the BBC now. We've got no license for the BBC, and we're not poorer for it. And the other thing, journaling. I've always been on about journaling. If you want to plan a different life, if you want to identify what's working for you and not working for you, if you want to put new set goals, intentions, things that you're no longer prepared to tolerate anymore, get your journal out. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. It will help you to kind of slow down, pause, reflect, and start to realize where you're going to reset your direction of your habits, your behaviors, your everything comes with a reset, but you've got to take a service station break, otherwise nothing's going to change.
Yeah, and probably out of the things that you said there as well, I've got get outside written in capitals. As often as you were getting outside in the summer, still do it, even if you've got to put a raincoat on. And really, in terms of the exercise, up the ante on that. Buddy up with someone, set yourself some exercise food goals, set yourself some targets on this and try something new. Maybe dance, maybe take a singing lesson. We know these two things really, increase your serotonin and your good mood. So, the sun does change. That's why I've talked about this being a journey around the sun, but enjoy autumnal sun. One thing I love at this time of year is conkers. I don't know why I see a conker. It makes me happy. And watch your language, as we move into this time of year. I speak to lots of people. Oh my God, someone's on a call I was on yesterday. Such dark, catastrophic language and expletives about this time of year. And I think, hold on a minute, you can keep that. I'm having none of it. I often say that. You can keep that. Don't be a mood hoover. Watch your language, and everything is how you frame it. And yeah, we've had a great summer. So as you said, Will, I've been saying to people, journal, but also look at a better way of locking in your memories. Maybe we haven't done this for years, but maybe get a scrapbook, or, nowadays you can take your photos and put them into a calendar for Christmas, or, or just have them up as a picture. So keep them, lock them in. I know for one that I was in the sea and I was saying to the kids, lock this in. Yeah. For dark
Kodak
days.
moment.
We are locking this in. And that's setting yourself up for success. Yeah. At the start of the day. And another thing that really works, and I've been doing this 10 to the dozen. Yeah. We've all got challenges. We all say this, Will, don't we? Life isn't easy. I tell you what, I am up in the ante on my gratitude. And how lucky I am to be able to do this, because some of the things we do are hard, and to reframe that, how lucky I am that I get to be able to do this. And I think that's really important. And along with the good habits, do not self-sabotage you with the ones that you know take you down. Yeah, we're chemicals.
Yeah.
We're chemicals. Drinking, smoking, anything like that, you are sabotaging.
Yeah, you've got to climb back out of the trough. And you know, I will post later the top 20 habits and behaviors that are likely to, you know, taken from my life book, obviously. I'm going to put the top 20 habits and behaviors that are likely to bring you down, that you have to watch for, because we've all got it. We see it in every client, we see it in every friend, we see it in our own behavior. You know, there are these self-sabotaging habits waiting for us. But we know our body, we know our mind better than anyone, and we've just got to prep and be ready for them.
Yeah. And let's see this next, this next term, this next season as really exciting. What could this be? Where could we go with it? How do we up the ante? How do we upgrade? Whether that's in our food, whether that's in our exercise, whether that's in our sleep, whether that's in our habits. How do we upgrade? How do we take
New
this forward?
start, new kind of full, you know, new year. And
Yeah.
you know, this is where it starts.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, as ever. I hope that's been useful for people. If you are struggling, do reach out. We have, between us, we've been doing this a long time, and we're able to support people and to give you a leg up. But, let us know your thoughts. Where are you at after the summer? How are you feeling moving into the autumn term? And let us know if there's any topics that you'd like us to cover. We generally cover things that are coming up at the moment with our clients, but we'd love to hear what's coming up for you. So do drop us a message in the comments, and we will be back at the same time next week, Wellbeing Wednesday. Will, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Great. Let's jump back into the autumn with a spring. See you next week.